Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Trash Talking and Giving Back podcast. I'm Erin-Cofiell-Barker, joined by Joe Sinagra, the do-it-all guy over at Myers Containers in Colchester. Excited to have you guys here this week. We're talking a little bit about travel, which I've definitely kind of got that bug because, right, it's like September now. I feel like now is the time to be like, okay, all of the summer adventures are done. Like, what's next? What are we going to do?
Absolutely. I'm with you.
Do you guys usually do like a vacation, a tropical vacation in the winter, or what's the Sinagra family MO?
We do. My kids are older, of course. So this last year we decided for Christmas we weren't going to do gifts, and the four of us were going to someplace tropical for Christmas. So we went to St. Thomas for the week. We left on the 23rd, and we were there for a week. So it was nice. It was highly recommend it for anyone who has adult children. To all the money you would normally spend on Christmas, you just spent on a nice trip, and it was relaxing and a lot of fun, and it was great. My son had too much to drink one night, but that's okay. But besides that, it was a great trip.
How did your wife stick to the no, we're not getting gifts for the kids?
She did. She stuck to it. Christmas morning, she did pull out a couple small things, one small thing for every experiences. Actually, she pulled out an experience for each. I got a King Arthur bread making class, and my daughter got a jewelry making. So fun things that we could do back home. So how about you? Do you do?
And then was there nothing for mom? Because that's how it always seems to go.
No, I was smart enough to know that you got to do that. And I got a very good tip from a friend of mine when I got married that you can get away with not great anniversary gifts, but you got to do something good on the fives. So long as you do something good on the fives, you can get away with not the best stuff. So I've held true to the good for the fives. And,
good for the fives.
And I'm glad that our guest on, because next year is a big five for me. And our guest helped me with my honeymoon. He coordinated my entire honeymoon for me, and we're going to go to Europe for our 25th. So I'm glad to have our guest on.
So our guest is going to get a little business out of the podcast today already.
Well, if we have hopefully we have a huge number of listeners and we get all of these downloads and he gets all this business. So then when I go to him, he's going to be like, oh, thank you for all the publicity, Joe. We'll give you a great deal.
I like it. I'm still in the kid trip era. Last year, though, we went to Cancun with the grandparents, with my husband's parents. And this year we haven't decided what we're going to do, but we're definitely you got to get out of here. If not around Christmas, which it'll be a while because Santa, I don't know how to have Santa find us elsewhere. Yes. So Santa will, be coming to our home, and then we're January, February vacationers at this point. But I like the idea of for Christmas instead, go do something fun.
It was the best. There's something about sitting on a beach on Christmas Day in 95-degree weather, having Christmas dinner and a blue ocean in front of you. It was nice.
But did you still decorate the house, or did you do it like Christmas? What is that? Christmas with the Cranks? What's the movie with Tim Allen and the daughter's not coming home and they're going on a trip, but then she comes home as if they decorate? Is that
no? We did decorate the house. Now, of course, mind you, I moved 3 days before Christmas, so it was kind of a.
You kind of got to get out of it. All right. Anything else going on? Anything new you wanted to chat about before I bring our guest in?
No, but the only thing I will say is I was recognized for the first time this week from the podcast. So it was a very exciting moment. I was out. Well, I shouldn't say that. You were recognized, and I was like, you're that guy with that other woman on the podcast? So I'm like, yes, they're like, she's that TV woman? I'm like, yeah, that's me. So it's nice. So I was recognized. They didn't know my name or the podcast, and I had to go on their phone to get them to the podcast to subscribe. But I'll take it as a win as being recognized.
Baby steps. I love it. All right, well, we are going to now welcome in today's guest, Scott Milne. He is the owner and do-it-all guy at Milne Travel. Scott, I know you have kind of been in the game for a long time with travel. As it turns out, I didn't even realize that you helped Joe coordinate his honeymoon. How are things going in your world lately? Is this kind of like a busy season for you? What's your ebb and flow throughout the year?
On the vacation side, we're sort of Labor Day. We kind of get a little bit of time to catch our breath, and then it's just full speed sprint. Through the fourth quarter and through January and February, lots of folks planning warm weather getaways in the first quarter, and also folks that are headed to Europe. As you know, one of the trends, I don't know how far we'll get on talking about bigger and smaller topics today, but these sort of over tourism kind of concerns around the world are really striking home. So advice to folks that are listening, if you're traveling someplace, particularly where it has a tend to be over tourismed, the sooner you get started, the better. So we get very busy this time of year, finishing up folks that are traveling to Europe next summer, and the folks that didn't plan perhaps far enough ahead to get to someplace warm in the winter.
Well, I mean, Joe, when is your anniversary? If you're trying to get to Europe, you might be too late in the game.
Well, no, it's not till October of next October. So I'm a little, I'm still a few months out, but I will be calling Scott. I as a testimonial, my honeymoon was 2 months after September 11th. So the hotel that Scott booked for me was closed, and he rebooked me into a new hotel. And then when we got on the ground in Honolulu, the second hotel was booked, and unbeknownst to me, his wonderful team had us booked at a third property, and it was seamless, even with all of the craziness that was going on in the world, 6 weeks after September 11th.
And still empty airplanes and all that stuff that we sort of forget about. But you almost were like had your own private 747 to get you to Hawaii, I bet, in October of that year, didn't you?
Because you guys were crazy enough in love that you were like, we don't care, we're flying. We're good. It's not going to happen again. We're good.
Two very funny things was we flew out of Montreal direct from, Toronto to Honolulu. And the hardest part was trying to educate U.S. Customs how we could be American citizens with Vermont IDs, but flying on a Canadian flight back to America. Why would we? And trying to explain to them where Vermont was. That was the whole thing. And of course, my wife hadn't officially changed her name yet, so different names on everything. So Honolulu, there's still people, but then we went to Maui for a week, and Maui was like our own private island. It was wonderful.
Well, lost in what you just said, though, is kind of the beauty of having a travel agent, Scott, right? Like, I know these days a lot of people are like, I can do it. I can get on the websites. I can find a place. I can book my hotel, and I can do it. But often things do not go as planned. And a part of the nice thing of when you have a travel agent is they're like, you might call them with your problem, like, hey, we're already on it. Like, and you were solving Joe's problems as they came up. Just talk about the benefits, right? That some people don't realize of why you should consider using a travel agent to help plan your trips.
Sure. Yeah. No. Good question. So, an agent actually is become a little bit of an outdated term. We, as an industry, it used to be American Society of Travel Agents. It's now for several years rebranded as American Society of Travel Advisors.
Okay.
And it speaks to sort of the difference. In the early days, travel agencies were set up really to distribute airline tickets around the country and around the world for airlines that you needed to have a paper ticket to get on an airplane. So really, we were more agents to deliver, and airline prices were regulated, and you didn't really have to do a lot of shopping to get a better deal because the deal was what the deal was. It was all regulated. Industry deregulated in the late 70s. Obviously, technology's changed everybody's profession over the last 25, 30 years. So now airline tickets are digital. There's no need to have a agency network to distribute product for airlines or cruise lines or anybody else. So we're really a advisor and an advocate for people. To get to your question, Erin, you have us on board to make sure you're making the right choice, and that if you want to be staying at a 5-star place, you're getting the best value at the 5-star place, and not looking at something on a website and booking into a 2-star place and overpaying for it. So you have a advocate and an ally in the early stages to help you make sure you're getting exactly what you want and you're getting the best deal or the best value for it. And then as you work through things, somebody comes up, somebody breaks their leg, you didn't buy insurance. Can we do you a favor? We Billy's not going. Can we change a name? And then, as Joe saw, once in a while when you get places, I assume you had your honeymoon planned well before 9/11, Joe, although my memory's a little foggy on all the details, although I should remember because you're probably one of only 4 travelers that traveled that week.
Yeah.
And, but so that's what we're here. And we've got a lot of good people, and, we're a service company. So we get a lot of satisfaction out of helping people, and, nothing better than seeing a smile, whether it's a honeymooner or, and Joe speaks to that. We had all kind. My mom, Marion, founded our company. She interestingly started as a travel agent in Manhattan as a 16-year-old in 1951, and got into a few other careers, was a social worker. And then when she turned 40, she got a college degree and decided to start her own business. So I came along about 15 years later, and haven't gone too far since then.
Wow. Now, one of the wonderful things that I know Milne does is a lot of these guided tours. Back when you used to do guided Red Sox tours, I went on many Red Sox trips with your company, and you have some wonderful ones going on that you've done in the past. And I was just looking last night at one that is a bucket list item that you have coming up that maybe you could tell us a little bit about.
Sure. Since you brought it up, Joe, just to digress, I flew from Miami on, this is Thursday. So that was last Wednesday night. I flew from Miami to Boston, and I had Big Poppy sitting behind me.
Wow.
So I should have probably thanked him. A lot of Vermonters like you, Joe, got to enjoy Red Sox because Big Poppy showed up, and they had that tremendous run in the early 2000s. We had, for I think 11 or 12 years, we were the largest season ticket holder at Fenway Park. We had 55 seats to every game. And then early on, they would also sell us an extra 350 tickets for every Red Sox Yankee game. So, we had some just great runs there. I don't know if you got to enjoy one of those, Joe, but those Red Sox Yankee games, 1% of the ballpark would be, riding down on premier coaches from Vermont. And in the early days, being the sophisticated company we are, sometimes we learn by being burned on experiences. But in the early days, we didn't encourage, but allowed alcohol consumption on the motor coaches. Mm-hmm. And we quickly had to change that policy. Joe, I don't think you were responsible for the changes, but you might have enjoyed the early days of our unsophisticated management of that product.
The statute of limitations is probably beyond. I was actually on one of those trips where somebody partook in too much fun after a big Red Sox win over a Yankee at a night game coming home, and he proceeded to have a little too much to drink in the back of the bus. And I wasn't involved in it, but I remember hearing about it thereafter, receiving a phone call. So
yes, he ruined it for everyone. He ruined it for everyone. Moving forward, who is this person?
If you have a good penetration in St. Albans, you might be raising a hair on the back of somebody's neck, and I don't think it's the traveler. It might be his spouse.
Right.
but not to digress into trashy stories, so to speak, but we used to have this former Vermont State Police officer, Dana Goodnow from Tunbridge. People, God bless him and his wife. Souls are no longer with us, but they were just great partners. They would do some escorted tours for us on cruise ships and things, but they loved doing Red Sox Yankee games, and we'd each on those Yankee Red Sox games when we had multiple coaches to the same game, would have Dana and his wife Joanne on one coach. Dana would be on one, Joanne would be on the other. Dana's a retired state police who would tell stories about being dressed up as an undercover woman doing drug busts in Vermont in the early 80s to entertain customers on the coaches. His wife was a retired clerk of the court in Barre. Very, very, just great people were responsible for this revitalization of the Tunbridge Fair, along with some other good people in Tunbridge. But it might be the bus you're talking about, Joe. Dana and Joanne are on a bus, and it was if you remember back to when the series turned around, there was a long rain delay at Fenway Park.
That's never good.
They ran out of beer at Fenway Park while there was a rain delay. And we had several of our clients that left once they ran out of beer and before the game restarted, and waited out at that little pub right across from the kitty corner across from the entrance to Fenway. And then they got on the bus and they had a little too much to drink. And they were, I forget the exact whole story, but they were being a little bit too obnoxious. Joanne calls Dana on his cell phone and says, "I'm worried it's getting out of hand on my coach. What should I do?" Dana said, calls her back a couple minutes later and says, "Just tell the bus driver when the blue lights show up, he should pull over." And, so Dana calls his friends at the Massachusetts State Police. Three police officers pull over Joanne's bus.
Oh.
And these inebriated young hockey players from St. Albans, who weren't really involved in the concern of Joanne, as I recall the story, didn't totally appreciate that they were being pulled over by the police, and Joanne said, we just want to get things straightened out. Just sit still. And they go, "I'm not sitting still. I want to get off the bus." And they ended up in a police station overnight. And they, the way I heard the story was the police said they had spent all their money at the bar. And the way I heard the story was the police said, "We'll give you a phone call. Just find somebody that has a credit card, and we'll take you to a hotel. And we got a hotel that'll, take care of it." And the kid, I called his wife, I believe it might have been his mother, but whoever he called said, hand the phone to the police. And they said, "Please put him in jail." I don't want to worry about him till tomorrow. So he ended up in jail, and then the bus got home. And then back to your early question, Erin, about travel advisors. He had to call the next day for advice on how to get home from Boston.
Okay, I was going to say, where were you guys getting him a hotel room? But also, Scott, I have to be honest. I thought that story was going to be that it was like they knew these police officers, so they pulled over just to scare everybody straight into behaving until you could get home. I didn't think it was going to end with kids in jail.
That's where I thought everybody wanted it to go, but it didn't quite go there. But
I love it. Okay, speaking of where we thought things would go. So as we plan for this podcast, I often email the guests and say, "Hey, is there anything, specific you want to highlight or talk about? Feel free to send us some photos, some videos." I send you this email and I'm fully expecting to get back some like tropical paradise photos, right? Like, "Oh, winter vacations are huge right now. Check these out." But no, you sent me a link to a trip to Antarctica that is in the works right now, happening in November, I want to say. Tell me a little bit about this. And I think we've got some video pulled for the folks watching the podcast to see.
Oh, great. And we still have space available. So we do a lot of, and Joe was talking about guided tours. We do a lot of travel, is a connective tissue amongst families. We were talking about that early on, whether it's you and one generation of your family or multi-generational experiences, you get to enjoy the experience itself. And then, whether you're a family or a fraternal organization or just a group of people, you get to re-enjoy the experiences for the rest of your life when you get together. So we like it. Antarctica, we've been working with Radio Vermont in Waterbury for 25 years. We've probably got 700-800 people that have traveled on groups with them now, more than that if we counted Red Sox and day trip, things like that. But we did Antarctica last year with Radio Vermont group, and it was just extraordinarily well received. And we had several people that wanted to go last year, but it didn't work for their schedule. So it usually doesn't make sense to do the same or similar trip twice in a row. But this is with Atlas Ocean Voyages, nice 5-star, experience on board, great naturalists, and it's over Thanksgiving. So to your Joe, if you decide you don't want to travel over Christmas with your family, but want to spend Thanksgiving, this is just a fun thing we've got going, and it's a good value. It's a bucket list trip. It's expensive, but I think we've still got a little bit of space left. Our group space is gone. We're just selling into what's left on the ship, but it starts at a little under $10,000 a person with air, which is a lot of money, but a really good deal.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of money, but like you said, like it's a bucket list. It's not like, "Oh, I'm spending 10 grand and going to Italy." Like, it's like, how often do you like figure out and be able to coordinate to go to like Antarctica? Like, that's not a place that like, that's like a, whoa, you're going where?
Yeah. It's one of the places on the planet, unfortunately, that's, going to be much different, for our grandchildren than it's going to be for the folks that are getting to see it this year. So for that reason, if it is on your bucket list, sooner the better, maybe.
Wow.
But we just got extraordinary feedback last year. Lee Cattell, who's, I think happy. I think they just got some news. They're the number one rated show in the market. So he's the morning drive guy, does the news. Just a good guy. He's really looking forward to it. He's leading the group with us. I don't know if you remember Eric Michaels. Eric and Joyce Michaels, pretty well known, but we just got started doing this with Eric Michaels. He and my mom, and he and Joyce and my mom and myself, we're all just very good friends. And so it's a fun part of travel. You get to do business with people and develop friendships for life. So me to a limited extent, but more so the folks in our offices and on the phones that are building relationships with clients every day. It's just a fun way to make a living and help people enjoy life.
So, Scott, tell me a little bit, having you in the profession, people think about traveling and they go to Florida or the Caribbean or South America. Where is that place that people might not be thinking about to visit? Obviously, Antarctica, that's a bucket list, but a more one that is, comparable to maybe a Caribbean trip or a European trip. I've been trying to talk my wife into going to Iceland. I heard Iceland's one of these amazing places to go. Mm-hmm. So is there other places that maybe not, the Caribbean or South America, but, that people
Sure.
don't think about?
Well, great question. I think every place is a place that some people think about. It's actually interesting. We have this travel expert kind of network that our people belong to. That's basically a lead generation opportunity. So if somebody's looking to go to, Dominica or, someplace like that in the Caribbean that's not well known, or they're looking to go rather than to the Masai Mara or the game lodges in Tanzania or South Africa, they want to, go to Rwanda or Uganda or places like that. Sometimes, being an expert in a place that isn't something that people talk about a lot is a good place to be, because there's always people that want to go everywhere. So, yeah, we hear of new destinations. I was, just myself, I ended up had a good friend whose son was a Army Ranger in Sheslov on the Ukraine border. And, we wanted to go see him, and ended up connected with another gentleman who hiked in the Tatra Mountains, which are on the border of Poland and Slovakia. So, we went over, got to enjoy the father of an Army Ranger experience and see firsthand what, is on those people's minds, which is, let's hope it doesn't get any worse. But then got up into the Tatra Mountains, which I had never really heard of before. And, Slovakia is beautiful. So, Slovakia is not a big destination that we have people coming in saying, I want to go there. But gosh, an awful lot of people, if you're going to be in Krakow, anyway, Poland's a bit, Eastern Europe, Joe, to your question, Eastern Europe is a great value. Bulgaria, Romania, Poland's, a little more mature now, but now we see people, you're in, Krakow anyway, it's a 2-hour bus ride to Slovakia, and you can be in the mountains if you want to do that. You can ski in the winter if you want to do that. You can go out and enjoy the pubs and the restaurants no matter where you are. So
the closest Erin and I get to Poland is the Springs water bottle.
That's a water bottle, dude.
It's only one anniversary trip away, or whatever. But to answer your question, it's a great, because a lot of times the travel advisor knows less about the destination than the traveler. It's the traveler knows they want to go to this obscure place. It makes sense to come talk to a travel advisor, even if we've never been there before. We know how to make sure the travel costs are, what you're getting. You don't want to buy. We have all these, airlines are getting better at monetizing everything from, you buy a totally non-refundable, non-changeable ticket to save $50, and people click the button and buy it and don't realize that's what they did, and then they got to change it, and they can, or you could get a slightly more expensive ticket that includes seats and bags, and just walking through the logistics of that with clients is something that's Travel Advisor 101. But then getting into the more fun part of it of what's the restaurant scene like, what's the hotel options, what are we going to do for experiences once you get there, all that kind of stuff is a lot of fun.
Well, or it's like you guys have a guy, right? Like it's like, oh, I have a plumbing issue, I got a guy. Like, oh, I want to travel to this place. Like, you know what? I know a guy who's got a guy in all these places, and you connect them. Correct me if I'm wrong. Using a travel advisor, is there a fee for that?
Different agencies have different business models. We have an airline ticketing fee. So if you're buying airline tickets for us, we'll get you the best price. The prices are the same through a travel agency or directly through a vendor.
Okay, that's what I was getting at, because I feel like that's something a lot of people don't realize is like they're like, no, I can plan my own trip. It's likely not going to cost you any more money to use a travel advisor versus to book something yourself. And you're going to have someone dealing with any headaches or little things you didn't realize along the way.
Right. And we're used to not only, best price is important, but also value, making sure we're comparing apples to apples that, I spent $2,800 and saved $200, but then, you bought a online travel agency room that is at a hotel that's under construction that, you're the OTA client. So you get the lowest room in the price where, we can get you in our deluxe hotel program where you get an upgrade based on availability, a room credit and a guaranteed late checkout, all those, if those are important to you, and having an advisor that can be as you said, a trusted part of your tool chest for when you're traveling. And it's great. We'll find folks that just have been going back to the same people for 40 years. I started talking about that until you got me off on the Yankee drinking trips there, Joe. But my mom, I remember 30 years saying it's so much fun. I was planning people's honeymoons. Now I'm planning their kids' honeymoons, and then by the end of her life, she was planning grandkids' honeymoons for people who she had planned grandma and grandpa's anniversary and wedding trips for. So we get a lot of people. We say we're nearly 100 people. There's a little bit of rounding up in that. There's a little bit of marketing in there, but we're a small company. But for travel agencies, we're a pretty good sized travel agencies. We're knock on wood, we're nationally recognized, nationally respected, but built on blue collar folks in Barre, Vermont, trusting us 50 years ago, and word of mouth helping us get from there to here.
Wonderful.
All right, Joe, trashy or not?
Yes. So Scott, we told you we play this little game every week, and sometimes we try to get our guests involved. So since this week, I too recently got back from a trip. It was supposed to be a round trip ticket, but I got stuck in New York City, so I had to drive back to Vermont. But this did happen to me on the way down. So you're on a flight, you pay extra to pick your seat. Is it trashy or not to not give up your seat to somebody because they want to sit, their child wants the window seat and you pay for the window seat? Husband and wife are traveling and they don't pay for their seat, so they get split up. You pay for your seat assignment. Is it trashy not to give up your seat assignment?
It's interesting. There's a good trail of opinions on that. If you read Travel and Leisure and other magazines, it seems to be a more and more common request that people have to deal with. The general, I follow it from what other people's advice is, and the consensus is it's not trashy at all. That if you paid for the seat, you have a right. Now, if it's from there, you can make exceptions based on the extremity of the situation, right? But I think it's hard when you have folks that want to save a few dollars and are willing to sit anywhere to then,
not be willing to sit anywhere. Yeah, to then not be willing. I'd agree with that. Like, it is trashy. It's still not even trashy, but if you had a random selected seat and then someone asks, like, okay, sure, maybe, like, let's think about it. But if you paid money for the seat that you were in, then, like, absolutely, like, no, sorry, like, I paid for the seat, right? And you can't say to them, like, maybe you should have paid for your seat if it mattered to you that much. I can't fault the people for trying, because often people will just be like, oh, yeah, sure, no problem, or don't realize, like, how it worked. But especially if you paid for it. But that said, this is going to be my quick airplane rant, Scott. Is you pay for your luggage these days, but if your luggage gets lost, you don't get a refund. You don't get anything. And they didn't hold up their end of the bargain of getting your luggage to the destination.
Well, two quick comments. One, if you're traveling to Europe, there's a European air travel rights legislation. So if you're traveling to Europe and your flight is delayed within, if it's not as long as it's not an act of God, or your luggage is delayed, you can get compensation from that. Our advisors can help steer you towards that. It's a highly regulated there. The other, the kids and parents being separated, the DOT changed the rules. So airlines have to facilitate kids sitting with parents. So if that part of your trash you're not talk, Joe, that's the airline's problem. They have to upgrade you or pay you to get off the flight if they need to sit kids together. So
the problem shouldn't come up because the airline would have already put them in seats, but both parents with the kid, or the kid gets to have at least one parent. That makes more sense. That's just cheap people, Joe, trying to work the system.
Well, yes, and I can't fault for him because I have been accused of being cheap myself. So I can't fault people.
I have as well.
So, Joe, this is my trash here, not question for you, right? You're on the flight with your 5th anniversary with your beautiful wife, and this happens to be this Chippendale dancer troupe walking on, and the one Chippendale dancer looks at you and says, "Could I please sit in your seat so I can sit with my friend who's across the aisle?" Is your wife going to encourage you to move, or is she going to stand fast and say, "I want you to stay here, Joe"?
Well, listen, Scott, I've been married almost 25 years, so she would say, "Get in the back of the plane."
Bye, babe. Have fun. I love it. Well, Scott, before I let you go, dying to know, how many of the 7 continents have you been to? Did you do the Antarctica trip?
I'm considering Antarctica in November, but 50-50 on it. But that's my 7th. So
I'll get there. You got to round it out if that's your 7th.
I'll get there. Yeah, it's tough on Thanksgiving, and I don't have unless Joe's right, and we're just going to be flowered with big business because of this podcast. It's a little expensive to at $10,000 a clip. Bringing my family away for Thanksgiving is not something I'm. In fact, now I'm going to have to remind them all not to listen to this podcast.
Fair enough.
Just cut it off around the 30-minute mark. It gets boring after 30 minutes. So.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, that's a good. I'll use that line. Thank you.
All right. Well, Scott, thank you so much for joining us this week on the podcast. And if people want information on the Antarctica trip, I know it's at wdev.com. It's a Radio Vermont thing, but also it's just milnetravel.com, correct?
Yeah, we use a 800-78-MILNE as an easy phone number to remember if you'd like. So that'll get you to the closest office. If you want to, we very much support local communities and with jobs and with brick and mortar offices. So we have people and offices in Middlebury, South Burlington, Barre, West Lebanon, Manchester, New Hampshire, Bangor, Maine. So if that's convenient for you, to stop in and talk to somebody face to face. But if you want to call in or click in, you can do that as well.
You are accommodating all of the generations with that. I love it.
Yes. Yeah.
I love it. Thanks so much for taking the time.
We can still be a nonprofit business at time, no matter how accommodating we are. So we're anybody that's looking for a Vermont-based business to work with would appreciate an opportunity to be part of traveling with you. And nice, Erin. Very nice to meet you, Joe. Good to see you again. And thanks for having me on. It's been fun.
Thanks so much.
Really appreciate it.
How many continents have you been to?
Only one. Only.
Me too. Because when does South America start?
I think South America starts Venezuela. You got to.
Okay, yeah. No.
Central America, I think, is still considered. Central America is still considered North America.
North America.
The Caribbean. Yeah. So I think Brazil, that area. So only one. I did have a friend who retired, and he and his wife, they just love to travel. So they did all 7 continents and Antarctica with the penguins. And he was there. Did
they do the WDEV trip last year?
No, they didn't. This was a few years ago. They went to Antarctica, but I don't remember how they got there. But feels
like my one. We got to work on this. Well, you might get number 2 with the wife. Right on the 5th
probably
anniversary.
Next year. We kind of being 25, we got to do something nice. So I think it's Italy next October.
October what?
So next October I turn 50 and I celebrate 25 years. So within 2 weeks. So probably mid-October we'll go and celebrate me turning 50 and 25 years of marriage bliss.
Of happiness. We are an October couple as well. We are October 20th.
Oh, well, I'm smack dab in the middle. I'm the 13th for my anniversary and the 29th for a birthday.
Look at that. Perfect. All right. Well, we appreciate everyone listening. Anyone who needs help with travel, reach out to Milne Travel. If you need help with your trash, reach out to Myers Containers. Learn something new this week. Travel advisor, not travel agent. Just like we talk trash, we don't talk garbage.
Absolutely.
That's what we do here on the podcast. Like, subscribe, and share with your friends, and we'll see you next week.